the Federal Reserve to inject 16 billion in liquidity into U.S. markets this week. 16 billion, and okay, so there's not an article here. It's a bullet point, and I think it wants me to watch this video, which I'm not. But the bullet point says the Federal Reserve will inject 16 billion, 21 million dollars into the U.S. Financial system this week through scheduled bill purchases, adding short-term liquidity that traders will see as supportive for stocks. Okay, it's despite the fact AG Pam Bondi mentioned the Dow is 50,000 right now.
It's over 50
It's
guys.
over
You need to worry about
50,000.
a potentially super corrupt government run by pedophiles protecting pedophiles. The Dow's over 5K, guys. We're
Yeah.
all
So
good.
let them keep touching kids. Like, that's
Me
great.
going to my wife after I cheated on her. Babe, the Dow's over 50,000. What do you care?
What do you care?
Come on, quit being a buzzkill. If they're allowed to touch kids over 50K, I think I get a hall pass. Okay.
Yeah, a whole pass. What? Okay, so it's no secret that economy is not doing well. So they're gonna try to lower interest rates. We've read articles about that, but if you have to inject $16 billion into the financial system, we're probably not on a good track. I don't care if it's over 50,000. The Dow's over
Mm.
50,000. Uh, but so I have like whenever the Federal Reserve is injecting like this much money into a system, you might read it and some people might be like, oh, it's quantitative easing. We've heard that since 2007. Um, that's a fancy word or a fancy phrase for printing money. It, it's just creating money out of thin air. So if when we talk about things like inflation, the value of your dollar is going down, it kind of resorts back to scarcity. We have a section of government which can basically determine, well, let's turn the printing presses on. And oh wait, time out. Didn't Trump say something like last year about a stimulus check?
I think so. I don't know. I have not believed a single stimulus check thing from anyone since the first round because that's basically all we got.
I believed the first round and then the second round. Everything after that was kind of we didn't get it. I remember we got the second round because I remember like the first round was $2,000. That was from Trump, and then
We got the Biden bump.
well, kind of what happened was Trump was like, we're gonna send out another 16,000 to each person, and it's in two batches. We're gonna send you 1,800, not 1,800, send you 800, and people got 800. But then Biden was like, we will, if you vote for us, we'll send you 1,600. Keep in mind, people already got 800. So then Biden got elected, and then when the checks came out, it was only $800. And I remember there was a big uproar because people were like, you said 1,600. And I think there was a quote, I don't want to quote it, but something along the lines of, yeah, but you already got the 800 from before. So it's,
Hmm.
so I remember there was two rounds, well, three technically. One was split. So I remember that. But every time I've heard stimulus check after that, it's like you said, it hasn't happened. But I don't know, 16 billion, that might do it. You know what I mean? But again, it doesn't say that's what it's for. Um, but when a crap ton of money is injected into the system, the value of your dollar goes down. Um, it, how do I put this? How do I put this? Again, it boils back down to the scarcity. There's more dollar bills. You don't have to fight over more for more, the value of your dollar bill because there's plenty to go around. That it's what was it? Oh yeah, it's the quantity theory of money. Okay, I have it written down right here. MV equals PT. Increasing the money supply, M, leads to a rise in the price level, P, unless there's a corresponding increase in the volume of goods. So there's more money into the system, but there's not more product, if that makes sense. So because there's no more money, people have more demand because they have this extra money. Let's buy more stuff, but that doesn't
Mhm.
automatically mean like, okay, cool. We now have more stuff to sell. No, it's the same amount of stuff. So your prices are going to go up because the amount of product hasn't gone up, but the amount of money people are willing to spend on it has gone up. So that's a really roundabout way of being like, when you inject $16 billion into a financial system, prices tend to
Yeah.
have a tendency to go upwards. Devaluing your currency, causing prices to rise. And it's like, how do I put this? It's like it's like a shadow tax. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
it's a way of increasing prices without your wages going up. Your wages aren't keeping up with inflation for sure, but these companies are increasing their prices, so you are paying more without earning more to get the same amount of stuff.
Yeah. It's actually one of
And
the ways in the past that the you can keep unemployment low, because it means that companies can basically pay you. They're effectively paying you less by paying you the same because there's more money in the system. And I think part of that idea is like it's better to have people in jobs where they're getting paid slightly less than they were before than to have people out of jobs because then they're getting paid zero. So instead of you're trying not to kill all the momentum, you're just trying to like hit the brakes a little bit because you need it to keep rolling, but you can't have it stop. And if you get like huge layoffs or massive amounts of unemployment, then it breaks too hard. Like there's not enough movement to keep the economy going. So if you can introduce more money into the system, the idea is like, oh, hey, let's say you're making 40 grand a year, but then they increase the money supply by 10%. So you're actually should be what to have the same purchasing power you did before. You need to make 44 grand, but you're still only getting paid 40. So then the business can pocket the difference and be like, okay, we can then turn this. Theoretically, the idea is they can turn that into more product or into more whatever. Like you can, the company can stay afloat because it can now go put that extra money towards paying its bills as opposed to you paying your bills.
mm-hmm.
And the idea is hopefully some of the bigger costs like your mortgage and a bunch of this other stuff is sticky enough and slow enough. Um, and wages are sticky as well. Like a bunch of the sticky costs in the economy will stay around for a while. Like the cost of groceries on the shelf can change, but they don't change super fast. I mean, well, now with the digital tags, they're gonna all change stupid fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
They're tracking
but
you.
like the idea was in the past, like the prices will on non-necessities will change slower than necessities, so people can still afford the stuff because like the thing of eggs will stay like a less like it'll be $1 for eggs, and then the egg price won't change because it's already on a shelf. But some other stuff might go up or change in cost. Some of the more discretionary purchases might change more rapidly. Um, I suppose non-discretionary purchases, and same thing with businesses, right? Hey, the cost of like land or some other more volatile thing might move faster, but then now that they have more money because the money supply is increased, they can use that to pay off that, so that way like they can survive stuff. That's the general idea. And it's worked sometimes, it hasn't worked others, and it depends on how the business wants to handle it because when it doesn't work, what you see, funnily enough, a lot of the times is like a um, the business owners will be like, "Oh, more money, yay!" And then they'll put it in their pocket, and then their business tanks.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a
Which was
trickle
the issue
down.
with PPP loans,
Yeah. Yeah, people taking out big loans and people creating companies just so they can take out the big loans. And it's like, you gotta pay that back.
right?
But so,
Nope, you just declare bankruptcy.
mm-hmm. And you talk about like things become more expensive. Like, one of the main things when it comes to like in throwing a bunch of money into the system, it creates a thing called aggregate demand within the economy itself. Basically, when uh when banks are just given a bunch of money. The goal of it is to, well, from the Fed's perspective, the goal of it is to lower interest rates and encourage lending, to encourage you know giving out money to people who want to buy houses, to buy cars. It's what's it called, it's like a, I don't want to say fake, like a faux way of pretending people have the money to buy stuff. Banks are
Yeah.
more likely to lend to people who are, may not be more qualified, but because the bank is getting the money, they can take the risk. More often than not, people tend to pay their bills, but according to a few of the articles we read the past couple weeks, not actually happening. But I don't. This has this quote. This will quote unquote speed up the economy, and now, what's interesting, I guess Pam Bondi, we joked earlier, but she said like, oh, the Dow's over 50,000. Well, when you inject a bunch of money to the system, it creates a wealth effect. Basically, as we stated, because companies are aware that people are having more money, getting more money, there's more money to the system, they're going to increase their prices. And for a lot of people in the stock market, well, that usually means their stock value is going to go up. So when money's injected into the system, people who already own stocks are going to see a good bump in it. It's now granted, it's not a natural bump. It's not uh I don't know how to supposed to put it. It's not real. You know what I mean? It's fake. It's faux. But it gives the illusion that the economy's doing well. Look, the Dow's over 55,000 now.
Guys
Let them
over
touch kids.
50,000. Let them
So now, granted,
all. We are loyal servants to you.
as asset prices go higher, which encourages spending and job creation. In theory, most of the time, people just pocket the extra money that they get. Um, but as stated, one of the biggest things is that people who own stock, people who own property, and that are willing to sell it, um, basically they get to increase the prices. They get to experience the high of their stock all of a sudden going up. The people who don't own stock, which is like 2/3 of Americans don't own stock. I don't know if that includes cryptocurrency, but they don't own stock. People are struggling to buy houses.
Mm.
So the rich just got richer while the poor are struggling to pay their debts and they're staying in the same place. So it kind of creates
Mhm.
a widening gap, with a widening gap between the haves and the have-nots, for a lack of a better term. Um, so it's kind of hard to think who does this benefit, because in theory, companies are worth more. They're willing to spend more. They're willing to take risks because of the extra money they have. But it's kind of that. I remember in the 2000s, I think it was like trickle down economics. Like, oh, if the big guy gets paid more, he's going to pay the people below him more, and they're going to pay the people below them more. And we've learned, no, that's not how that works. They don't do that.
No.
I think I didn't bring it up, but there was an article, something about like the top 10 companies or whatever, their upper management gave them all on average, or a median or whatever, about a $36 million bonus. That's not going down. It's
No.
staying up there, and to an extent, they're building jetpacks with it to boost them up even further away from the
Mhm.
Carl the janitor. You know what I mean? So it's, in theory, I don't trust the Fed. I don't care. I don't trust them. I don't like them. But it we're doing this to boost the economy. It's boosting the people who have, you know, assets, and it's making the other people, everybody else essentially, have to pay more to get the things that they could buy before, the price hike. So, because again,
Mhm.
the rich can absorb things when times go wrong. The rich can obviously absorb it. It's not an issue for them. but I kind of hate to say it, even though we just ragged on him for about 30 minutes. Mondani, 9.5%. Yes, rich people are moving out, but at least in the meantime, they can absorb that till they find a new place. When it hits the poor people,
Hmm.
they might not be able to absorb that. And the only way for them to be able to pay that is by selling things they already have. And usually, you're going to sell it to the people who can afford it, which is the rich. Now, a little, that's kind of conspiracy theory. Let's, at least the way I just put it, conspiracy theory. But it's true. It's kind of like how we talked about um the unrealized gains.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the rich people can, like they can, okay, cool. I've got, you know, $100 million in the bank, which rich people don't. It's all in stocks and assets. Let's get that out of the way. Um, for sake of the example, I have $1 million in the bank. Taxes went up 20%. I can subtract, $20 million. I'll go live somewhere else. But for the meantime, I pay that. Um, but if someone owns a property, and let's say, farmer in California, they still grow grapes? I heard they grow grapes in California. That might not have been since the 90s. Let's say he
It's
has a
in
let's say
California.
he grows grapes, $10,000. I know it's a low number for California, but his property's worth $10,000, and he makes just enough money to get by, and maybe a vacation once a year. Well, let's say something happens, like, oh, your property value, we deem it to be $20,000. So now he has to pay twice as much in taxes, even though he hasn't actually gotten that money. So what does he have to do? He has to sell it. Well, he can't sell it to poor people. They don't have the money, and probably not even the need or desire, to own a grape farm. So who are they going to sell it to? They're going to A, give it to the bank. B, sell it to the government if we go conspiracy theory. Or C, they're going to sell it to the rich people. Because the rich people are like, yeah, I can move out, but maybe I can make some profit off of this in the meantime. You know what I mean? So eventually, over time,
Hmm.
he's gonna have to sell more and more and more of his land. And so eventually, he has to live in a rent-controlled apartment.
Hmm.
So just expect things to go up. If you, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. Um, if you intend to buy stocks, expect prices to go up. I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but again, for people who already own stocks, the price is going to go up. They're going to enjoy it. People who want to buy stocks, or people who want to buy stocks, are going to be like, ugh, that's a higher price tag. People who don't buy stocks are going to be like, why are my onions getting moldy? Ugh. So, but my thing is like, if you bragged, now I know Pam Bondi is not in charge of the Fed, but if you bragged about the Dow being 500, $50,000, why are we injecting 16 billion into the system?
Right?
It's
Hmm.
like something's about to happen. You know what I mean? I already know. I know there's some articles going on about the prospect of war with Iran again.
Hmm.
That might be it, but we're injecting into the system. It's not like we're like, well, I guess we could say like, yeah, we're injecting it. We're gonna give Sig, millions of dollars to fix their P320s. That way we can buy more without killing our own troops.
Right?
Uh huh. But but yeah, the article saying uh U.S. is close to full scale war with Iran. I think I have an idea. I'm not sure. I think it has something to do with like you know oil naturally, um, but who knows? It's war, but that might be what the 16 billion is for. Paying companies to be like, hey, we need to build more ships, build more guns, build more clothing. Maybe things go up, things go down, but you don't inject $16 billion into your financial system, printing money out of thin air, okay,
For no reason.
for no reason. Especially if you want to defend pedophiles. and say that the Dow is up 50,000.
Yeah.
Something's going on. This
Yeah.
is not financial advice. What? Got anything to add?
Uh, I mean, maybe the other reason why they might be doing because like the jobs report is kind of insane. If you look into the job growth, it's like, oh, we added, XYZ many jobs. What actually happened was like elderly care basically is like 110% of all new jobs. Like
Like healthcare,
almost
yeah.
every single job added to the economy is in specifically the home and elderly care sector. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and most of those jobs are like derivatives of government jobs. So a firm that works with the government to provide a particular kind of care. Like everything else is down, and so it's like I don't know. It feels like the reason they're injecting is because hey, actually the economy's been rough for a little bit, and we're just gonna do it, and hope no one notices.
I keep hearing things of
To try to
like
correct for.
I keep hearing things like they have to keep going back and changing the numbers of the growth of the job reports.
Yeah, they
Like and
went
it's
well.
it's
Yeah,
going lower and lower and lower every time. I'm not great.
where it's like, oh, so it was really bad.
Mm.
Like, no, it wasn't that bad, but we do have to just adjust this number a little bit over here. But hey, I can't help but notice you adjusted that down. Well, just kind of, let me just go back over here and just this number over here real quick, and
Well, I was looking. It
that's
says
just what it sounds good.
construction gained 33,000 jobs, but it says notable growth in specialty trade contractors. So I'm guessing like this is here likely linked to data center demands. So not building houses, but more AI.
Mm-hmm.
Which I know I stated earlier, like in the, earlier in this channel's life, that I think is gonna pop. Which I still think is gonna pop, but I made comments of like it's not as good as people think it is. But then there's that I sent you earlier, the Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fighting video, and they're talking and yelling at each other. I'm like, oh, it's kind of hard to be like that doesn't look real. One of the comments was like, I remember last year we were lucky to get five fingers.
Yep.
And now they look
Yeah,
and
man,
sound like Tom Cruise.
it's getting scary.
I keep seeing things like, man, when I'm older, I'm gonna fall for so many like scams.
You mean when you're older, parentheses next year?
Yeah, when I get there, I'm thinking about retiring soon. 30 is
That
just
would
really
be a
getting to
wise
me.
decision.
All right, well, that's all we got. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
See ya.